Welcome to Electrified. It's your host, Dylan Loomis. So today's one of those days I look around at the news flow and I just think, what is going on? So there's a lot of impactful stuff to cover. All right, so here we have the first interesting news item of the day. GM has hired Biden's niece, a former Obama aide, to head the Environment, Sustainability, and Governance Policy, the ESG. GM has hired Missy Owens, the niece of President Joe Biden. Now look, she actually is qualified for this position, so let's not get too crazy with this. The real underlying move here of what GM is trying to do. GM and other automakers are pushing for government assistance, including tax incentives, to get consumers to transition to EVs. And honestly, from GM's perspective, it's a good move. I mean, what a better way to get some possible preferential treatment than hiring someone from the administration's family? So look, to be clear, I don't have a problem with the hiring. What I do have a problem with is GM already is standing with its hands out, asking for some money from the government, doing whatever it can to lobby and, play politics, while Tesla is just out executing. And Elon is saying, hey, look, we don't need these EV incentives. We're just going to do the work, make a better product, and let the market decide. I just happen to prefer Tesla's strategy. So here we have it, plain and simple. California and Elon Musk just do not get along. Part of the reason why they have left and moved to Austin in terms of the headquarters. However, Tesla is sued by a California agency for alleged racial discrimination and harassment. Once again, I do not think it's a surprise that this comes after that award of $137 million to a black worker who said he was subject to a racially hostile work environment. Now, Tesla has asked for a new trial, claiming that those damages were far too high. But the point here is that when something like this happens, how many other people are going to start thinking and seeing dollar signs? I'm not saying there was no foul play on the point of Tesla workers. However, it's absolutely something you have to remember. So what does Tesla have to say about this? Well, yesterday they said this follows a 3-year investigation during which the DFEH, or the California Department of Fair Employment, has never once over that 3-year period raised any concern about current workplace practices at Tesla. The lawsuit appears to be focused on alleged misconduct by production associates at Fremont between 2015 and 2019. Tesla reminds everyone they have a dedicated employee relations team that responds to and investigates all complaints. They also have a diversity, equity, and inclusion team whose work is shown in a public report. I'll link it below if you're interested. Tesla says Fremont has a majority minority workforce and provides the best paying jobs in the automotive industry to over 30,000 Californians. The DFEH has decided to sue Tesla instead of constructively working with them, citing this is both unfair and counterproductive, especially because the allegations focus on events from years ago. Over the past 5 years, the DFEH has been asked on almost 50 occasions by individuals who believe they were discriminated against or harassed to investigate Tesla. On every single occasion when the DFEH closed an investigation, it did not find misconduct against Tesla. It therefore strains credibility for the agency to now allege, after a 3-year investigation, that systematic racial discrimination and harassment somehow existed at Tesla, a narrative spun by the DFEH and a handful of plaintiff firms to generate publicity is not factual proof. Tesla will now be asking the court to pause the case and to take other steps to make sure the facts and evidence are heard. Despite repeated requests, the DFEH has declined to provide Tesla with the specific allegations or the factual basis for the lawsuit. So the big takeaway here, and why in my mind this is absurd, is because Tesla is saying over the last 3 to 5 years, the DFEH has been looking into Tesla, doing investigations, and hasn't once brought up anything when it comes to misconduct for all of those requests. But yet now, here we sit in 2022 and the circumstances changed. We have a $137 million award that is being tested. We have Elon getting into it with multiple government officials from California. We have Tesla leaving California and taking its headquarters to Austin. And when you add all of these things up, it just seems plain as day that certain people in California really don't like Elon. They really don't like Tesla. And on some level, they are out to get him. And I want to be clear, I am not saying that there was no foul play by any employees at Tesla, because I have no idea, and ultimately it will be uncovered. So personally, I just think if the DFEH was truly 100% unbiased, there would be better ways to handle this. So to sum it up, look, if the DFEH wants to go after certain individuals or employees who may have acted in a discriminatory fashion, great, punish them, fire them, do whatever you need to do. I have no problem with that. My problem is when you try to paint this picture and narrative that Tesla encourages or somehow allows or facilitates systematic discriminatory behavior, which just I do not believe is true at all. And those are two very, very different things. Having a few employees who are bad actors versus an entire company who is encouraging this type of culture at its workforce. Not the same. Now, most of you guys know I spent a few years in the fitness industry, and that transformed into a focus on health, energy optimization, and overall physical well-being. The sponsor of today's video, Athletic Greens, is a staple of my daily routine, which also includes a cold shower every single morning. And given the global circumstances, now is a perfect time to make healthy choices and to do whatever we can to support our immune systems. I actually found AG1 in the description box of a Lex Friedman video, and if someone as dedicated to physical fitness as Lex is endorsing a product, I had to check it out for myself. And of course, my link with freebies will also be linked below. AG1 is quick and easy. 1 scoop in 8 ounces of water and voila, your superfood cocktail is ready to enjoy. Every serving of AG1 has 75 vitamins, minerals, and probiotics that when taken consistently can support gut health, energy, immunity, recovery, and focus. AG1 is also independently certified by NSF. And look, I know that taste is subjective, but this is truly one of the only green drinks I've ever had that I can drink and enjoy and not have to hold my breath. But don't take my word for it. One of my patrons actually messaged me thanking me for recommending AG1 in a prior video. He said he really enjoys the taste. It mixes incredibly easily, and it took him a long time to find a green drink that he actually enjoyed. With every order, AG1 donates to organizations providing nutritious meals to children in need. AG1 has also offered to provide a year's supply of vitamin D3, K2, and 5 free AG1 travel packs on every new purchase using my link in the description below. And yes, you trying AG1 is a huge help to the channel. With some lighter good news today, the National Academy of Engineering elects 111 members and 22 international members. This new election brings the total US membership to 2,388 and the number of international members to 310. And you guessed it, Elon Reeve Musk is on the list being inducted. So congratulations to Elon, well deserved. Another quick one, if you want to find out if your car is going to have the heated wipers or the heated wiper area, just remove the frunk and look for this. If you have those cables near the firewall, the part of the car's frame right under the windshield, you will soon have heated wipers. Tesla seems to have come to a conclusion for its design center, and it will be in the capital city of Beijing. Tesla had said before this design and engineering center will develop China-designed vehicles, but also for the global market. And I really think this is a much bigger deal than most people expect over the next 5 to 10 years. The Chinese market has very specific requirements and desires that are different from elsewhere globally. So if this China-based Tesla design team can come up with a product fit for the market, which I'm pretty confident they will, that is going to have huge implications for Tesla's sales and foothold in the Chinese market over the next 5 to 10 years, whenever they can get around to actually producing said vehicle. If you're wondering, Beijing is about a 12-hour drive from Shanghai or a 2-hour flight. We also have Ford continuing to make moves trying to assert itself as a serious EV contender. Ford has poached a former Tesla engineering director, Alan Clark, who was at Tesla for over 12 years. Alan posted a few days ago on LinkedIn saying, "I'm happy to share I'm starting a new position in advanced EV development at Ford Motor Company," and he was welcomed by Jim Farley in the comments. So what did Alan do at Tesla? Well, he ended his tenure as the Director of New Programs Engineering. However, if you go down to when he was the Senior Design Engineer, he worked on the Model X and the integration of the front drive unit and the rear drivetrain. He worked on the mechanical design of the Model S battery enclosure, as well as the front and rear suspension and steering for the Model S. And he worked on the Model S exterior door handles concept mechanism and the first prototype design to prove out concept for production. This move for Ford also follows their hiring of Doug Field, who also worked at Tesla, and he also worked at Apple on their EV car. And while automotive news will label this as a poaching, the truth is we have no idea why he left. Maybe he left willingly and just wanted to go to Ford. Maybe Ford was recruiting him. Either way, Tesla has an overflowing amount of talent. They can actually afford to lose some talent, unlike some other automakers, and this will probably be a much bigger impact beneficially for Ford than it will be a loss for Tesla. And that's not at all to minimize Alan's contributions to Tesla, but you get the point. And for me at this point, Ford is like the lesser of all of the evils when it comes to legacy OEMs. So for me, if Tesla talent has to leave, I would actually prefer to see it go to Ford, as they have shown a willingness and a commitment to EVs. They have produced some solid offerings, and I do think they have one of the brightest futures for legacy OEMs when it comes to electric vehicles. Speaking of, Miss Go Electric captured some footage of an F-150 Lightning spotted on the road. A very short clip. This was taken in Michigan, so just outside of the proving grounds, but clearly doing some testing. Good to see. We have, yes, yet another Tesla recall. This time 579,000 vehicles over pedestrian warning risk sounds. This is number 10 over the last 4 months in terms of recalls for Tesla. However, this is where I want to highlight Tesla's root problem with these recalls, and it has to do with their lack of reverence for the regulations. So what's going on? FMVSS 141, remember that, establishes performance requirements for pedestrian alert sounds for EVs and hybrids. Standard also prohibits manufacturers from altering or modifying the sound emitting capability of the PWS pedestrian warning system. On affected vehicles, the boombox functionality allows a customer to play preset or custom sounds through the PWS external speaker when the vehicle is parked or in motion. While boombox and the pedestrian alert sound are mutually exclusive sounds, sounds emitted using the boombox could be construed to obscure or prevent the PWS from complying with those standards when the vehicle is in motion. The only way that this recall can make any sense is if they're saying that using the boombox to maybe play a silent sound will override the PWS system, resulting in there being no noise and ultimately not following compliance. So what Tesla did on January 29th, Tesla voluntarily recalled and disabled boombox functionality in drive, neutral, and reverse modes with an OTA update. So by the sounds of things going forward, boombox functionality will only be available in park. Some people love this because they think the idea of boombox is just to annoy as many people as possible. Other people hate this because it's a really cool feature that you can use, when you're pulling up to friends and things like that. So obviously people in both camps. But the root of Tesla's problems with all of these recalls and regulations is this. Tesla just has very little or no regard for the regulatory approval process. Remember that standard 141 I told you to remember? Well, this is the actual document, and when you scroll down a bit, you find this. After the final rule was published, NHTSA received timely petitions for reconsideration from only 3 sources: the Auto Alliance in conjunction with global automakers, American Honda Motor Company, and Nissan North America. So the point is Tesla did not submit any petitions or filings reaching out to NHTSA with regard to this 141 saying how this pedestrian warning system is going to function and all of the rules and regulations around it. NHTSA did actually listen to these 3 companies and change its stance on some of the rules and the functionality around how this is going to work. Tesla just had no regard and kind of decided to do its own thing. So ultimately Tesla just moving fast and kind of bypassing or overlooking some of these regulations is part of the reason why it continually has these recalls, because it just really doesn't play by the rules. And look, yes, personally, I think most of the rules are actually ridiculous. The whole idea of a car needing to have a noise while it's on the road is crazy. If you're a pedestrian on the road, you need to be paying attention, looking around. Like, we don't need cars to be playing all this noise to say, hey, we're here, you're on a road. Look, you might be thinking, Dylan, well, why are you so amped up? This is just a boombox, like it's not really that big of a deal in terms of a feature. Yes, I agree. However, I'm looking into the future and seeing how things are going and starting to wonder, well, are we going to end up at a point where you can't set the speed limit for autopilot or FSD at all above the speed limit and they just set it right at the speed limit? Like, that's going to be a big hindrance to the progress and development of the system. And that's just one example of many. And this is actually part of the reason why I spend my time going over the daily news flow for Tesla, because over time you can start to pick up on trends and themes, and you see how certain agencies and the public react to situations, and it just gives you a better understanding of the overall company, the government, and the entire environment. And as Justin pointed out, he said it was kind of alarming because in the recall, NHTSA included 2017 Model 3s when the boombox feature wasn't even available until like late 2019 when that pedestrian warning speaker was installed. However, the recall did mention retrofitted vehicles, so potentially there were some earlier Tesla models that had that feature from a retrofit. And back to the NHTSA document to show you, you have it right there. So to sum all of this up, we are just at an inflection point. Tesla is now pretty clearly in a very dominant, commanding position, and as we approach this inflection of EV adoption that will really multiply in advance in the next 2 to 4 years, the adversarial reaction and people that are against Tesla or want to see it fail because of the industries that Tesla is already disrupting is only going to heighten. So that's why I'm here making these videos, to do my small little role in fighting back against the FUD and the negativity, and ultimately just trying to get to the truth of what Tesla is as a company, the mission it's pursuing, and what it means to the world at large. And honestly, thank all of you guys that have been here liking, commenting, watching the videos until the end. Like, I greatly appreciate it, and we are all part of this mission and we all have a role to play. That's gonna wrap it up for today. Maybe a further rant on Patreon or somewhere else, but please take a second to like the video if you did. Hope you guys have a wonderful day, and a huge thank you to all of my Patreon supporters.